What does it mean for a food to have more nutrients than calories? Great question. Let's take a closer look. We're talking about nutrient density, which has been scientifically defined as nutrients per calorie since the early 2000s. And there's different ways to calculate this. I use a mathematical calculation that I developed called the Nutrivore Score, a very comprehensive way to measure nutrient density because 33 nutrients go into the math. And it's a great way to show the nutritional value of some foods that have been unfairly maligned by diet culture, like potatoes and watermelon and iceberg lettuce, which yes, all have more nutrients than calories. So let's talk about what that means, especially because thinking about foods in terms of nutrient density can be a little counterintuitive. It doesn't always match that gut feeling about whether or not a food is healthy or unhealthy based on a scan of a food label. So our bodies have a daily energy requirement. That's calories. But we need a certain amount of energy to go into all of the chemical reactions of life to, live. We also have daily requirements for essential nutrients like vitamins and minerals, protein and fiber. There's also many non-essential nutrients like polyphenols that don't have a daily value set for them, even though there's a large body of scientific evidence that shows that getting more of them makes us healthier. So you can think of calories as energy, whether they come from proteins, carbs, or fat, and all of those other nutrients as the building blocks for all of the cellular structures that make us, or the reagents that go into all of those chemical reactions of life. So for a diet to technically meet our nutritional needs, it has to supply us with our recommended dietary intake level of all of those essential nutrients. Ideally, it would also give us plenty of the non-essential ones too, while staying within our energy requirements. And that's the challenge with food labels and how different diets get us to think about food. When you just look at the nutrients per serving of a food or per amount of weight, like 100 grams of a food, and don't consider calories, you are separating two things that should be linked, meeting our essential nutrient needs and staying within our caloric needs. And when you separate those two ideas, you are also missing the very important context of what is the quality of the calories in this food. That's what nutrient density measures, the quality of the calories, or how opposite of an empty calorie a food is. So the Nutrivore Score and other similar nutrient density calculations tie those two things back together so you can understand how that food helps you meet your body's nutritional needs without exceeding your caloric needs. Because if your diet meets your nutritional needs, right, you're hitting 100% daily value of all of the essential nutrients, but you're eating double the amount of calories you need in a day, that excess energy intake poses a health risk. So that's what I mean by a food that contributes more nutrients than calories. And the Nutrivore Score quantifies that to help us understand the essential nutrient contribution of a food relative to its caloric contribution to our overall diets. So we can understand how to get all of our essential nutrients and stay within that range of calories that supports our health, which certainly can include an intentional caloric deficit or an intentional caloric excess if your goal is to lose weight or gain weight. But there's still a range for doing that healthily. And that's what we want to stick to while actually getting all of the essential nutrients our bodies need.